you know he's on top. Million subs, he never gonna flop. Out of Chicago, where the streets don't sleep. Betting on games, making cash real deep. Crystal ball for sports, he knows the lines. He's a sports aficionado, the money he finds. From football to basketball, he's always on point. Predicting winners never disappoints. He's got that hustle, that Chicago vibe. Making moves on the streets, cash on the side. With E, you know it's always a bet. He's the king of the game, never forget.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Etoft21sports Show for May 21st. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. Great show tonight. As my boy David, a.k.a. Better DP21, on social media is going to stop by. Him and I are going to share some MLB and NBA bets for Wednesday, and Gino will have his horse racing bet of the day. But before we get into all that, I would like to say thank you to the sponsor of the show, Parlay Play. If you're not using Parlay Play, you're missing out. Go to the App Store, download the Parlay Play app, use promo code NFL Betting Blitz for a nice little deposit match. Now, let's see what Gino has a cooking for us over at Santa Anita.
Best bet coming up for Friday, May the 24th. We're going to look at Santa Anita. We're going to look at race number 3. Now, this is early, so the odds are not out yet for this one. But I'm going to look at this 5 furlong turf sprint. I thought Refocus was very interesting in here. He's going to be making his second start on the turf course. He showed the ability to close, and he got stuck in a bad spot 3 or 4 different times. Legitimate trouble right after the start, then again in the race. I think there's a lot of upside with him just making his second turf start, and he can close, but he's also got a little bit more speed than he showed in his most recent race. Refocus, race number 3 at Santa Anita on Friday. Best of luck. We'll be here with you each and every week, dishing out a best bet for Eric's show. Hopefully, Eric leads you all in the right direction this week when it comes to basketball with the NBA Conference Finals starting up. Good luck.
Make sure to give my boy Gino a follow at It's Me Gino B on X. I'm on his podcast every single week talking NBA, college basketball, college football. And he's going to be back on here for the Preakness. Really looking forward to that. Now let's bring on the man of the hour, this week's special guest, my boy David, a.k.a. Better DP21 to the show. David, how you doing, my man?
Doing well, man. It's been a while. I'm appreciate you having me back and being able to do a live show with you here. So thanks for having me again.
Oh, dude, you are one of the smartest people I know. And like, dude, this may shock you, but I am kind of a dick and I don't give compliments out that much. You should know me. We've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
You do know your stuff, unfortunately. How are your Braves doing today, man, this year?
They're a little bit behind the division right now. They're not leading the division, but I mean, we're still ahead of the All-Star break. I mean, nothing really matters until you get after that point. And like most years, we're going to win the pennant, toward the end of August, probably wrap that baby up then. But about 3 or 4 games behind Philly and tied up with Chicago, which I bet against my Braves today. So that's just, for those that have, been following me and Eric, anytime I get a chance to come on Eric's show, I am not biased. I will bet against my teams where it makes sense to bet against my teams.
Sports facts. Nice call in Seattle. Guess who pitched for Seattle tonight, my friend?
Mr. Wu. I know. I saw.
Nice little plus 138 on that first 5. All flipping day for that.
Yeah.
For those watching who don't know, David is a diehard Bills fan. He's part of Bills Mafia. I haven't got a chance to ask him thoughts on the Diggs trade.
I really didn't think he was going to go anywhere, mostly because I didn't see him becoming a number 1 anywhere else. I didn't look at him as any of that. It actually kind of surprised me a little bit, but they're also kind of at a tipping point where kind of needed new blood. I mean, they really shook up the place a little bit there. I do love the draft of Keon Coleman, though. I think that guy is a stud in his own right as well, especially from the character that I've seen from his interviews and everything else that he's doing. But yeah, I didn't see Diggs going anywhere, man. Like, that one did kind of shock me a little bit, but I also, it made sense, and I trust Bean. So I'll put it that way.
Will the Bills win a Super Bowl with Allen at QB?
I always think they have a shot. I mean, you're talking top 5 QB in the league. Why not? As long as they have Allen at the helm, you're talking about a QB that, and I don't have all the stats in front of me at this point, but you're talking about a QB that basically led the league in touchdowns. I mean, like just across the board from both rushing and passing perspective. He's thrown the most, at least. And if it wasn't just this season, I'm talking maybe over the last 3 seasons at least. Average wise, his numbers are at the peak of any other QB out there right now. Or hold water at least.
How will the Celtics blow it this year? Well, let me start. Getting up big in the second quarter and just not blitzing Halliburton and letting Halliburton score 8 points in 2 minutes. And now they're battling for it. This team, how can I word this politely? Tatum and Brown are too nice. Does that make sense? They're just too nice. They don't have that killer dog instinct in them. And anytime they have a chance to step on someone's throat, they just don't do it. Dave Kozak, Mavs are playing pretty well. Can they get through the tough D Minnesota brings, and can they shut down Ant-Man?
Yeah, I mean, one of my weekend takeaways is definitely the Wolves defense, right? I mean, the way that they shut down the Nuggets there in Game 7, was kind of everything. They didn't allow anybody besides Murray and Jokic to really handle the rock in terms of points. I think they only had those 2 players in double digits out of everybody on the team. I definitely think, there's cause for concern there. I definitely think, you could have been looking at maybe the preview of the champion right there. I mean, it was either Denver go to repeat or maybe Minnesota becomes the heir. So, that's kind of how I kind of looked at it a little bit. But yeah, I definitely think there's going to be trouble in that matchup for the Mavs.
I have a bet in this game that I'm going to wait till later on the show before I give my thoughts on the series. Matt chimes in. Will the Pacers give the Celtics a good run? Seems to be hanging tough. Oh my God. It's this goddamn Celtics team, dude. Like they just don't have that killer instinct. Holiday was brought in to give them that championship pedigree. I think they're missing Smart. They just don't have that leader. There's no leadership there. And Missoula just isn't the guy in my eyes. Spear22, can the Mavericks win it all? Yeah. I mean, if PJ Washington's shooting 50% from 3, yes, they can win it all. And AA86, Wolves in 6.
Why not? I mean, you're talking the same matchup at that point. Yeah, I definitely think it's not going to go. I don't look at that series as a 7-game series like they just got out of. I look at it more as maybe a 5 or 6 one. I just think I could see that being like one team just getting a better edge over the other. And I think the Wolves have a lot of momentum right now. I mean, they're playing with swagger. To your point, they stepped on the throat of the Nuggets there at the end of the game. And Ant-Man definitely has that killer instinct that everybody's talking about.
Oh, yeah. Like for as much stupid shit as Towns does, Ant just has that step on your throat mentality.
Yeah.
Let's get some takeaways, David. I got a juicy takeaway. What is your takeaway, my friend?
Mine is very simple. Baseball season has officially the floor in my book. All right. I live out in Denver, Colorado, everybody. So, I was getting pretty much playoff hockey, playoff basketball every other night for the last 2 weeks. So heartbreak weekend in Denver, of course, with the Avs and Nuggets both finishing out their series and losing both Game 6 and Game 7, respectively. My more recent one is really just kind of watching the Nuggets, right? I mean, like I just mentioned, right? They had Minnesota really kind of came in there and made sure that nobody besides Murray and Jokic were going to beat them. They got no bench help whatsoever. So the Nuggets were really gassed by the end because I'm pretty sure at one point I heard this during the fourth quarter that Jokic had only sat for a minute of the entire game or something like that, and you had nothing. I kept telling everybody, going to this game, they need their bench to step up, and they did not have that happen in this case. Gordon didn't really have a good game. Any of the other supporting role players didn't really have a great game, in my opinion. So Minnesota really came in with a solid game plan. I mean, it probably didn't look as much like in the first half, only because it looked like such a huge lead by the end of the first half, right? I mean, you're talking about a 15-point lead by the end of the first half that they were sitting on for themselves. And but that wasn't actually kind of like the context of what the game now is. Now, what I also saw happen in the second half that really kind of, I think, influenced a lot of this was, relying too heavily on the outside threes really allowed the Wolves get back into it in the second half, right? They got away from their inside perimeter, inner just close range shots and compared to the perimeter shots that they were really forcing, in my opinion, a lot of turnovers. And then that's why it kind of looked like, I think I heard something like they only scored 37 points all of the second half or something of that nature, which really obviously favored the Wolves defense there and allowed them to get back in it. Point blank, they got outplayed in the second half, and that's really where you knew the game was going to end up in the fourth quarter. I really actually kind of love seeing the game come even by the start of the fourth quarter, just because, I mean, at that point, it's like, hey, anybody's game. It's game 7. Like, you want to see some drama there at the end. You kind of knew that it wasn't going to be just, one way or the other for either of these teams. It was going to come down to the end, and it did. So, sure enough, my heart goes out to, all the Denver faithful for both Avs and Nuggets. But, at this point for me, this is my money-making season with baseball season. So let's get it going.
I was told by someone I trust that it's a very high possibility that Michael Porter Jr. is going to be traded this offseason.
I would believe that.
I mean, this person's in the know, and they're like, their reasoning is they didn't get enough from him in the playoff. He's, he looks scared to shoot it sometimes. And that's, he looked great in the regular season. Bench, I thought there was times where Holiday, Watson, Jackson looked good, but you hit the nail on the head. Their bench was non-existent. And in my eyes, it looked like the only people that weren't scared to shoot in the fourth quarter were Murray and Joker.
Yep.
So they definitely need to look to address that. I don't know if they had Bruce Brown there, if that would have made a difference, but I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason to see what happens in Denver, but it's also the curse. Like, if you look all the way back to the Raptors, when the Raptors won it, the following year after winning it, you get eliminated in the second round, and the Nuggets held track. And I don't know. Interesting series. I'm looking forward to this Minnesota series. Actually, I'm looking forward to it a lot more than the Celtics series. My takeaway is this, my friend. If Luka was Draymond Green, he would have got tossed in Game 7. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No.
If he was Draymond, he would have got tossed. Every single time there was a call against the Mavericks, or he didn't go to call, he's like flailing. He's wailing up his hand. There is at least 3 times brothers could have gave him a tee. Now, you're not allowed to brush off an official like that, like I just did. He did that twice.
I saw that.
That should have been a tee, and that would have been a second one, and he would have got kicked out.
Yep.
Now, my whole thing is this. I understand superstars have different rules. I get it. But at that point, and I think Murray should have been suspended for throwing the heating pad and everything on the court.
Oh, yeah.
He should have been kicked out of that game. And that's not me just being biased because I had a Thunder 100 to 1 ticket that I took out back in the summer last year. He should have been thrown out. But it was a great game, fun game. I don't know if you heard the interview from Gilgeous-Alexander. Afterwards, they asked what he would have done differently on that play. He goes, I should have just let him shoot it because he was going to miss it. In regard to PJ Washington, which is kind of funny. But that's my takeaway. Luka should have got ticked out. I love Luka. I've been on Luka for a while. One of my friends who's a scout told me, there's this kid over in Europe. He's going to be the real deal. And I love his game, but it's getting to the point now, just the constant bitching. You know what I mean? Like He bitches, I feel, more than anyone else in the NBA. I know people say LeBron bitches a lot, but I think Luka's right up there. And I hope it stops just because, like, I know my nephew likes basketball. I'm starting to see a little things with him whining, and I'm like, why do you do it? And he's like, oh, Luka does it. And he loves Luka. Luka's his favorite player. So I don't know. I hope there's less bitching in this series, and it's going to be a physical series. So I don't know. I hope Luka doesn't bitch as much. We're at my favorite part of the show. I am interested because you are, like I said, one of the smartest people I know when it comes to MLB betting. And, you know, we're getting grimy first. We're taking a team that's kind of better than everyone thought it was going to be this season in the Washington Nationals. Why do you like the Nationals in the first 5 tomorrow, my friend?
Yeah, so looking at this game, I mean, you know, I always look for value in dogs in baseball. I mean, I do not bet a baseball team probably higher than maybe minus 125, something along those lines. But, you know, so I have a better break-even point when it comes to this, just for people's knowledge and such like that. But yeah, my first bet for tomorrow's game is Washington first 5. I mean, you're basically looking at Minnesota and Washington. They've now split the series on each other where, you know, they had first game came in. I actually bet Washington yesterday, took that nice little win as well for dog money at home. But basically in this matchup here, you've got Simeon, Woods, Richardson going against Jake Irvin. Now, a lot of people need, you know, just look at starting pitching when they set these lines, right? And they try to have there's a little bit of bias in the lines as well when it comes to that. But what I think the public is missing out of this game right now early on, and probably where people can get an edge for tomorrow, is that Jake Irvin's last 3 games, he has a 3.18 ERA and a 0.94 whip. Whip is everything when you're evaluating your starting pitching. Now, the bullpen is there's like 3 factors when you come to baseball, right? So you're going to have your offense, you're going to have your bullpen, you're going to have your starting pitching. And I just kind of go on the check marks that make sense. And right now you're looking at 2 teams very evenly matched in terms of both starting pitching as well as they're hitting right now. So I'm taking the bullpens out of this one. When I went ahead and evaluated this, you know, basically Washington's bullpen is a kind of a shit show right now. I mean, they're averaging a 1.4 whip. It's not terrible, but I'm still avoiding the full game because I don't want to bring the bullpen into the game and influence our bet here. Plus, you know, working the first 5 innings, you know, should we take this money line, which I haven't seen the actual true money line come out at this point, but I'm going to guess that it's going to be exactly very close to what the overall game line money line is right now, which is about plus 120. I'm going to bet that they might lower that a little bit down to maybe plus 115, maybe plus 110. So you're still going to get plus money on this at some point tomorrow when the line really settles for a little bit. But, you know, yeah, I'm really looking at this from an evaluation of taking out the bullpen, looking at Jake Irvin, knowing that he's got a really nice whip going into this game for ourselves. You know, it's a very undervalued. You're looking at a true 50-50 game here, in my opinion. What does that mean to me? That both these teams are no better than the other in terms. Nobody's got a solid edge here. Take the money, take the dog money at home, and, you know, go ahead and ride that because, you know, what do I want to say? Best case, they win outright. You know, worst case, they push. You know, if this thing ends up in, you know, a tie for some reason through 5, you know, otherwise, you know, you're doing yourself a favor taking the bullpen out of the game.
Sports facts. I love this guy. Celtics are losing. How bad are they? Seriously, has any coach been fired during a conference final? Not that I know of. Let's make some money. Any futures? You got any futures you like, buddy?
You know, I had a couple. In terms of baseball right now, I mean, I always take my Braves every year. I mean, that's always going to be one for me. They're set up. It's just a matter of whether or not, you know, they can hold it together with their pitching. They're always going to be a team that's going to be in there to the end. I also like Philly. I really favor NL East when it comes to this, and it's not biased because my team's over there. It's just where I see a lot of the stronger bats and play coming from an overall team outlook right now. So, you know, that's the obvious ones because you're probably going to get better money working with somebody like that versus some of the NL West teams like the Dodgers or Padres or something along those lines, where you got a lot of public bias that's already settled in on those teams for futures bets. But some other ones that I would just have to think of off the top of my head for later.
That's kind of funny. You said the Dodgers, and Let's Make Some Money goes bet the Dodgers to win it all. Hello. I got my boy from the Tigers. What's his name? The pitcher Skibole. I got him at 12-1 to win the win the Cy Young, dude.
There you go.
So far to start. My first bet, and I'm going first 5 too. I'm gonna take the first 5, but I think I'm gonna lay the half. I'm gonna take Padres first 5 minus a half. Last year, if you watched David and I on our MLB show, we love the Reds. We bet the Reds a ton last year, but that was last year. This season, disappointing. 19-28, last place in the NL Central. And I'm fading them here in the first 5. For the year, for the first 5, 14, 22, and 11, 38% straight up, 6th worst in all of baseball. For the year, just on the money line, okay? Oh, no, sorry. On the spread for the year, they are 32% as a dog, okay? On the spread this year, money line. But this is the stat that kicks out to me, and they did win tonight 2-0. Coming off a win, the very next game for the first 5, 39%. When they're a dog in the first 5, dips all the way down to 16.7%.
Damn.
Which is insane. They have Nick Martinez on the mound, who's a right-handed pitcher. Padres versus right-handed pitchers this year. Best batting average in the league. 3rd best on-base percentage. 5th best slugging percentage. Most hits against right-handed pitchers. When we look at the month of May, Padres, 2nd best hitting team in the league for the month of May. Flip side, Reds, worst offense in the league against a right-handed pitcher and the worst offense for the month of May. Martinez has been going back and forth between the bullpen and starting rotation. That kind of tells you a little bit something about him. Back-end starter, right-handed pitcher. Reds struggle first 5. Padres have been a hitting machine, scoring machine against right-handed pitching. I think that's going to continue here. I'm taking the Padres here minus a half for the first 5.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, really, like I even like the Padres tonight. The only reason that I didn't bet them tonight is because Atlanta and them just played a doubleheader yesterday, and they went right back on the road. I kind of figured they would come out pretty tight today, pretty slow, and then kind of hold true. Right, they lost the game 2-0. So I totally respect that play 100%. And me, I love first 5 plays.
Next bet. Where are you going, my friend?
So next bet, I am looking at the Miami game against Milwaukee. This has been a very interesting series so far. Going into Wednesday, you always want to look out for teams that are trying to sweep, because usually in MLB that won't be the case, right? So, if you wanted to ever just do yourself a favor without any other type of handicapping that you can do in games, go look at a series, see who's going for the sweep, and pretty much fade that team. But that's not the case in this one here, right? So Miami got out, ahead, and they actually kind of stole one from Milwaukee last night. And then it's been a flip-flop going back and forth with them tonight. Milwaukee got one back tonight. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at, again, starting pitching having an edge here. And Miami is another home dog with Luzardo going on the mound, with him having his last 3 games with a 2.04 ERA and a .91 whip. So, I mean, you're looking at this opposite side. You got Peralta going. Now, obviously, this is all contingent on starting pitchers actually going, right? So we got to keep that in mind. We're talking about probables right now until it's confirmed. But, based on these pitchers that are expected to go, Peralta on the other side of the ball for Milwaukee, his last 3, 6.19 ERA, 1.7 whip. That man is giving up runs left and right, and that is, regression to the mean. Bullpen is decent here for Miami, so we could play the full game. I don't try to put it in the hands of the bullpen where I don't have to. So, I really like the strength. Miami's hitting the ball. They're manufacturing runs. I'm going to go ahead and take, again, what I think is considered more than likely going to be probably a +110, very similar to the full game or pick 'em type of game for themselves for the first 5. So that's what I can expect the line to come out at. I mean, the full game money line right now is sitting at about a +115. So you could probably imagine something to be very close to that for the first 5 as well.
Hockey question. Can the Stars shut down the Oilers' top O-line, McDavid, like they did with Colorado? You're the Avs fan, my friend. What do you think?
I definitely think that is very doable for themselves, but I mean, McDavid is like another beast. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'll put it to you like this: I definitely had a futures on the Oilers, like, you know, as being one of those teams to win it all for the Cup here. So I know it's going to be a very hard fought series, but this is one where the line's going to be so tight that I wouldn't bet it, but I could definitely say that if somebody ran through Colorado, that they absolutely deserve, you know, to be there for this next division game. I don't know. That is such a tough question because you got my mind going in like 2 different directions with this, but only because like I know that I had a futures bet out there on Edmonton, I'm going to stick with them.
I honestly, I don't know. I'm a boring hockey player. I bet first period unders, no goal first period, no goal second period. Nobody wants. I hit no goal first period, game 7, +370, 90, whatever. Someone goes, nice hit, but I hated the bet. Dude, it's +390, dude. Just hate the bet.
How do you hate the bet? Yeah.
Like,
getting 3-1 on your money? Almost 4-1?
Let's make some money. Celtics are so bad. Yeah, I have the score right here. They're losing by 3.
Nice.
My next bet. I'm doing it. My man. Give me the Mavericks +4.5, +155 on the money line. What has time showed us in game 7s? You fade the team that wins. That's what you do. Teams coming off game 7, 16, 30, and 1 ATS. That's 34%. Straight up, 15 and 32. That's 31.9%. Home favorites coming off of game 7, like the Timberwolves, 38%. Conference finals, 29%. So we got some trends here.
Yep.
How Dallas is built, I think it's going to cause some struggles for Minnesota. High pick and roll. Get to the rim, drive and kick. That's what they do. And Minnesota, they're not going to say it, but with how they're built, I feel that they're built to stop Denver. And I feel that with what Dallas can do with Luka, Kyrie, the shooting of Jones, PJ Washington, and then I'm just going to count Garland and Lively as one center. Is that, you know what I mean? Is one big body. I think that's going to be a real tough matchup for Minnesota. Also, I know Jaden McDaniels is everyone's new, he's the best defender in the league. My left calf is bigger than Jaden McDaniels. Luka is a strong boy.
I really hope he hears that.
Like, Luka is a strong. Luka's going to physical him to shit. I don't think he's going to be able to physically keep up with him. And the reason why Nembhard just made a jump shot. I'm sorry. The reason why Luka struggled so much was Dort was so physical with him. Right. And I don't think Jaden McDaniel is going to be able to do that because he's small. So then what's the next piece? Do you put Alexander Walker, who's smaller, on him and to get banged up? Do you go with Slow-Mo Anderson out there? And if you go with Ant, the thing you risk is Ant getting in foul trouble.
Yep.
So I don't think there's a piece of the puzzle where you can stop Luka. And when you look at it, it shows it for the season. For the season, Luka shot 66% from the floor. Now, you have Lively and Gafford. They're going to be able to go against Towns, Gobert, and Reed. and you have Jones, and Jones is a great defender, and I think he's going to give Ant some problems. So we have all these historic trends. We have some matchup issues. I'm taking the Mavericks here. Give me the +4.5. Give me the +155. And for those that are watching that like this bet, that are going to make this bet, the smart thing to do is to take the Mavericks series price right now. I think it's at like +160, 165. If they win this game, that's going to be flipped, and you're going to be locked in to get profit either way.
Right.
That's a thing you can do. But for me, I'm just taking the Mavs here. Give me the +145. Sorry, +4.5 and the +155. Sorry, my man. Sorry, dude. You think this is my first time doing this shit?
It's okay. You know, I'm actually in real time making that bet.
Now we're off to our third bet, my friend. What do you have, my friend?
Yeah, so you know, I'm looking at actually Atlanta versus Chicago. So I'm taking Chicago for the full game tomorrow. You know, so you know they're going to be 2 games into their series right now, and you know, just depending on where this at now. Granted, tonight I also have Chicago taking this game, and then again because Padres and Atlanta just played doubleheader at home yesterday. They split that series, went on the road. Both those teams on the road. I just kind of faded today, knowing that they were definitely going to be, you know, tired from playing so much ball over the last 4 days. And Atlanta has not had a great offense walking into today. It's actually been kind of like non-existent. And I always have the mantra of just the obvious stat line for everybody: don't bet on teams that can't score runs. It's not a hard concept to come across, but a lot of people, you know, still seem to fade that just because of a popular starting pitcher going.
Yeah.
Your team's not scoring runs. It does not matter. You know, look at the White Sox today. They just took one. They were +170, and you know, same type of thing. So that being said, you know, the way that I evaluate this matchup, though, right? So first of all, I do use a model for everybody to know that, right? And I use advanced stats, right? So I have deserved runs created for offense and deserved runs average for your pitching. So what does that mean? That basically means that, you know, these advanced metrics for both hitting and pitching focus on each individual hitter's expected contribution and each individual pitcher's expected contribution while taking out ballpark factors and things like that, right? So rather than, you know, most other metrics you come across from hitting or pitching average the result of, you know, hitter plate appearances or whatnot from an earned run, you know, perspective. So that being said, the way that I value this game, it did come up Cubs for me, just on the output of the model here. You know, you got Fried going against Steele. Fried last 3, you know, has a 3.4 ERA, 1.2 WHIP. Steele last 3 has 6.2 ERA, but 1.3 WHIP. So what does that mean? Again, earlier I said this, right? WHIP dictates your starting pitcher form, meaning that regression to the mean should happen here. The only reason that his ERA is so blown up is because he had one blow-up game versus Pittsburgh. Otherwise, you know, he's right there in terms of Fried, in terms of, you know, walks, hits per innings pitched, and where they kind of sit in terms of form. So also similarly, their bullpens are very much in similar form as well. Available bullpens for going in tomorrow are both showing average ERAs of 3 and a 1.3 WHIP. So you're definitely looking at it in terms of that as well. You're getting dog money at home. This is, you know, I can't like stress that enough. Like I don't take actually home away factors into a lot of consideration when it comes to baseball whatsoever. But I will always love a home dog no matter what when it comes to any type of matchup, always. So that being said, like that's not factored into my line. I'm just expressing a situational factor. So that being said, when you do have a 50-50 game like this, look what I just evaluated in terms of offense, where, like I said, Braves offense is not anything to cheer about right now, like whatsoever. You got 2 starting pitchers that are exactly in similar form. You got bullpens in the same form. Your value is going to be on your dog money team. That's going to be Chicago Cubs at home +122 for the full game.
Thoughts on Hendricks going to the pen?
Probably well deserved. I mean, at some point,
he's like 0-5 with like what is it, a 15 ERA. I mean, I think it's over deserved. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
I'm saying it's a long time coming. Like
okay. All right,
long
all
time coming, right? Like I was surprised he was in the starting rotation walking into the season. I'll put it that way, right? Like they have some other popular names like Assad and whatnot that are actually true and up and comers and great shining stars there for Chicago. So, definitely something where, like I said, Hendricks probably should have never been in the starting rotation to begin with.
Here we go. I like this one. David, explain to me like I'm in grade school, your model.
Fair enough. Well, how do I want to phrase this then? Model projections basically work off of formulas, right? So what are you looking at? You're basically looking at me taking advanced metric stats for each team, each starting pitcher, and putting them in for which get updated daily, right? So we're talking, numbers that are pretty much advanced metrics that are updated every single day, and understanding, the compound effect of, how they performed the day before and where they're trending or the expected output, going forward into the next day. So that being said, I plug in those metrics for both the bullpen, the starting pitcher, as well as the team's offense when it comes to those advanced metrics with DRC plus and DRA, which I just described earlier. And they evaluate that against a left-handed or right-handed starter pitcher. So the type of pitching that is actually going into it also has a factor, that weighs in. Basically, it gives me an output of a projected score, which will then favor, one team over the other. I put in the projected American odds, because you can also use European odds if you had to for any kind of European bettors that are out there. And basically, it gives me an output of the model using a Kelly adjustment, right? So Kelly modeling basically means that it has a factor up to 1 to 3% of your bankroll. And basically, I make some adjusted bet sizes based on that. But anything that has a bet size of a factor of 1 or higher is factored in as a play. And it actually shows me the odds for that betting team. And then it shows me the value that we're getting against your book line. So in the end, bunch of inputs, gives me an output, shows me the value of the team that we should be betting on. I investigate a little further for myself to actually see form of those teams, so that's just the model output. After that, I do some own, investigation of myself in terms of situational angles that we actually need to consider, just kind of where they are. As I kind of mentioned, teams that are looking to sweep, probably going to avoid them. It's really hard to sweep, teams fully in MLB. So there are situational factors to take in that I make for my own judgment. But that's just kind of how the model works at large.
Here, Europeans. I'm in LA.
You never know who's listening, man. You never know.
I found that one funny. Down 3 and Brown takes the 3, not Tatum. Interesting. OT. So it looks like the Pacers and Celtics are going to OT. But this is an interesting comment. Down 3 and Brown takes the 3, not Tatum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like let's just kind of think about that. I just got a text message from Bryce from the I Need It Sports Pod. I'm willing to bet if one went back and watched every fourth quarter of this Pacers run, Neymar is shooting at least 80% on step back jumpers. My last bet, and I'm doing it. Give me Kyle Tucker over 1.5 bases. There's like a tornado going on outside. So if my power cuts off, David, you're going to be on your own for this one, dude. I'll come back as soon as I can.
Okay.
Kyle Tucker over 1.5 bases against Anderson, who's going for the Angels. For the career, he's 7 for 9. He's been good against left-handed pitching this season. 274 batting average, 400 on base percentage, 597 slugging percentage. Tucker at home, he's been lights out batting at home this season. batting .384 on this current homestand. I'm looking at Tucker with his historic performance. I mean, 7 for 9 against a pitcher. You definitely owe him. He's been great against left-handed pitcher this season. He's been electric at home this season hitting. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to take Tucker over 1.5 total bases. I think we're going to be able to get plus money on this. So, but I mean, like, I've started to do this. Like, I've been playing a lot of the hits plus runs plus RBIs, looking at that a lot. So like today, I really liked Perez from the Royals. So his 1.5 was minus 105 for total bases, but I was able to get plus 135 at over 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs. So I played that one. So like always look at that. But for this, I think we're going to get plus money on Tucker. So I'm going to take Tucker here over 1.5 bases, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know that he'll get it out the gate against Anderson, just because Anderson's whip is really good right now. But I think the bullpen definitely can edge one out. Bullpen is definitely a little shaky there for the Angels.
David, I'd like to thank you for coming on, talking a little shop. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find your MLB plays and where they can find you on Twitter, Twitch, whatever, Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called now.
Yeah, I don't even know what to call it. Yeah, anybody, you ever have questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. BetterDP21, better with an OR. I will start posting plays more regularly there. I hadn't for a long time. I've had some family medical emergencies I've had to tend to at home where I haven't been posting to social media as much, but definitely going to pick up. Things have been in a better light, better positive direction here. So on the home front, all looking good. But again, thank you for the time, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the questions, everybody.
Make sure to give my boy, son of a bitch, dude. This game went to OT, and I just lost my Halliburton. Oh no, sorry. He's got 19.
Right, did you have the under?
Yeah. Well, my thought process was this: you don't let Halliburton go off. And he had 2 points with 4 minutes left in the second quarter. And then you let him score 9 points.
Yeah.
And then you don't let him score. I mean, like, this Celtics team, I mean, Jesus Christ. If they don't win a title, I mean, it's going to be, I mean, they need to be studied. Make sure to give my boy David a follow. We will be back next week with Jeff from Beating the Book. He's going to be stopping by, so make sure to check that out. Good luck in all your bets, and hopefully David and I are going to make you some money for tomorrow, boys and girls.